you want to reach those kids on the street, then you gotta do a rap to a hip-hop beat. So I gave my sermon an urban kick. My rhymes are fly, my beats are sick. My crew is big and it keeps getting bigger. That's cause Jesus Christ is my nigga.
4 in the morning, we'll be rolling to my house. What?
Hi, everybody. It's Jamin with Keen Point of View, the best intersection of gay issues, politics, and Christianity ever, with a new podcast episode. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Happy Pride Month. It's the month of June. Happy Pride, LGBT Pride, Gay Pride. Yes, yes, yes. Never forget that LGBTQ, RSTLNEWXYNZ, rights as a more radical movement started with a shot glass thrown at a mirror in the burning Stonewall Inn by Marsha P. Johnson, a black trans woman in Greenwich Village in New York City in 1969. Thank you, Marsha. LGBTQ rights, as we know them today, if you did not know, started as a riot and also as a pushback against oppressive power that threatened to eradicate us from the planet if they would have had their way. So thank you to Marsha P. Johnson for throwing that shot glass and dropping a cinder block on a squad car windshield the next night, and to Sylvia Rivera and to the woman who started the riot in the first place. Even though she called it an uprising and civil disobedience, she did not like the term riot. Stormy De La Veree. You will note, however, that I named 2 trans women, Marsha and Sylvia, and 1 lesbian, Stormy, in this group, and yet mentioned nothing about masculine gay men in the start of this movement. Stormy was butch, so she was kind of masculine, though. But I wonder what that says about masculine gay men versus effeminate gay men and trans women and lesbians being willing to put themselves on the line physically to make a point, to enact change, while masculine gay men just, I don't know, what look for each other on apps. I ain't seen none of y'all show up. And anyway, I'll leave that up to you to figure out. Mask versus femme, trans versus cis. Anyway, either way, everyone, happy Pride. Thank you, ladies, for all your hard work at the riot and everything afterward. Last week, I talked about the weirdness of Los Angeles, and I've done a yes or no segment before. I've asked why in a segment before, but this time around, I think I'm going to do a little different segment. It's called My Top 10 Favorites. So for this one, I'll do my top 10 favorite comic book characters. So yes, I'm a comic book nerd, and I'm mainly a Marvel comic book fanboy. Marvel fanboy. Make mine Marvel. So just giving you a heads up. So here we go. Number 10, Injustice Timeline, Harley Quinn. This is a DC comic book. It's Injustice. There's Injustice, the video game, and Injustice 2. So the Injustice Timeline, Harley Quinn is a lesbian in a relationship with Poison Ivy, and she's so three-dimensional. She has a daughter. She is actually a hero in this one, and it's awesome. Like, she has conviction. She stands up to Joker. It's really great to see that Harley and not have her be like the annoying, oh, Mr. J, Harley. Like, this is a completely different Harley, and it's great to see. The Injustice Timeline, I'm also enjoying because, like, the books are so much better than the first Injustice series. So Injustice 2 comic books are really good. I'm enjoying reading them, and I'm sometimes enjoying reading them more than the Rebirth books that are out. So good job, DC, on that. Number 9, Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes. I like him as a character. I like how he's written. I like using him in the Injustice 2 video game because he's really easy to use and very powerful. I like how powerful his powers are. Like, the Scarab gives him abilities to do a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I guess it's whatever the writer calls for because they really never define what the Scarab can do. But it works in the stories. And I like Jaime. He's a lot of fun. And he's a normal teenager with a lot of power, and I like how they keep showing that struggle. Number 8. Okay, so first Marvel one. Number 8 is Phantom X. I like how mysterious he is. Mysterious. I like how he shoots his guns. I don't like his mutation because I think it's gross. He has a spaceship that looks like a goo-covered like placenta from somewhere. And it's actually called Eva, and it's his mutation, and people fly around in it, and it looks kind of gross if you think about sitting inside something that came from the inside of someone's body. So yeah, that's pretty gross. Um, Anyway, he's also kind of mysterious and like kind of sexy. But anyway, number seven, Deadpool. Deadpool is awesome. Deadpool is fun. Deadpool is great. He's a lot of fun in movies, but he's also a lot of fun in the comic book. Deadpool is in the video games and the comic books, and he addresses the audience, so he knows he's in a video game and comic book. He makes fun of Wolverine's lines in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, taking y'all way back. He Wolverine, whenever he defeats an enemy, he'll say a catchphrase or something like, "Oh, I'm the best at what I do," and then Deadpool does it, and he says, "Now I'm the best at whatever it is Wolverine does." And when he fires a lot of bullets in the game, he's like, "It's like, where do all these bullets come from?" He also gives a lot of when the characters talk to him one on one, he also gives a lot of stuff that lets you know he's in a game. He's also just very funny and sarcastic, and I like Deadpool. Number six, Storm. I like all comic book versions of Storm and cartoon versions of Storm. Okay? Did y'all catch that shade? Comic book and cartoon. All right. So Storm, she's very powerful. She controls the weather. She was worshipped as a goddess in Africa where the people, I guess, she made it rain. And anyway, so they worshipped her as a goddess, and she got that thought in her mind and really thought she was a goddess. It's like, no, you're a mutant. You can be killed. But she is a strong leader. She's a strong, powerful woman. She's always been written well in comic books. She's vulnerable enough to need love and not always be strong all the time. And for briefly, she was Queen of Wakanda when she married T'Challa, the Black Panther, who is number five. T'Challa, the Black Panther, he's smarter than Tony Stark. He is richer than Tony Stark. He has a very smart sister named Shuri, who was a better Black Panther than he was in the comic books at the time. And she also has like 5 PhDs. So she, not about Shuri, but T'Challa, as we saw in the movie, he's a strong leader, very competent, and very wise and shrewd and fair. And as a superhero, is very strong and intelligent in how he fights and how he leads his country and how he leads detachment of teams when he's allowed to. So, yay, Black Panther. Number four, Magneto. Love Magneto. Love Magneto. Always have liked Magneto. And Eric Fassbender playing Magneto is like very good casting. He's sexy as Magneto. It's like, I know you're a villain, but like I'll join your cause, sure. But Magneto was written originally, as Stan Lee said, to be kind of like the Malcolm X view of civil rights, because X-Men was written as an allegory for mutants being black people trying to get civil rights. So Professor X was Martin Luther King, and Magneto was Malcolm X. And their two philosophies conflicted with one another because Martin Luther King said nonviolence and peace, and Malcolm X, for most of his life, said separate, keep it separate, leave black people alone, let us just have our own thing. And on the one hand, I get his philosophy. On the other hand, I don't think that really works, because you do have to live in society with everyone else. So there's got to be like a way in the middle or something. But even when Magneto was given an island of Genosha to live on with other mutants, he still got attacked there. So because people thought that mutants were plotting against the world, when they were not, they were just living in peace and actually living better than the rest of the world. And also on Asteroid M, he tried to live in an asteroid, and people wanted to take that down because they thought he was plotting against humans, and he wasn't. So, yeah. Anyway, that's really way too deep into the weeds with Magneto, but he's number four. Number three is Rick C-137 Sanchez from Rick and Morty, which is on Cartoon Network and also a comic book, so it does count. Rick is a grandfather to Morty, and he's also a really intelligent scientist. He's the smartest man in the universe, and I love how smart he is, how much of a family man he is, how much he cares about his family. But I also like how he is struggling with something that he's not telling them what's killing him. He said something's killing him, and he has a catchphrase for it, and he's really struggling with that. And it's just, I like seeing it. I like seeing him be a jerk. I like seeing him be a fully realized character. Um, I like that. I like that for him. I like seeing him like that. I like how real he is. Um, and I like how much he cares about his family. He really loves his grandchildren and loves his daughter. His son-in-law, however, but I like Rick. One thing I do like about Rick is that his belief in God. Whenever he is in danger, he calls on God to save him, and then when he gets himself out of it, or somehow it works out that he gets out of it, he's like, "Screw you, God! I figured it out. I don't need you. You're not real." Blah blah blah. But I'm like, you believe in him? Like, there's things out of your control that you're just like, So I like that conflict that they keep sneaking in there. Number two, Wonder Woman. Diana of Themyscira. She is awesome. She Everything about her is just awesome. I don't like Injustice Timeline Wonder Woman. I don't like when Wonder Woman's a villain because I'm like, you are too powerful to be evil. But I like that she uses her powers for good and she gives hope to those who work with her and who, I guess, read from in the real world. She gives hope. And yeah, so Wonder Woman's number two. Number one, my favorite one of all time is Dark Phoenix. Jean Grey, the Phoenix. Dark Phoenix. I like the Dark Phoenix version because she really gave no F's about what she was doing. She was wiping out the X-Men on her own. She wiped out Storm on her own. Storm was like trying to shoot her down with like a lightning storm, and she telekinetically whipped him back and was like, yeah, whatever. But she is life incarnate, and I just wish the writers would make her storylines more about life and not so much destruction all the time. I get that it's fun to see fire and burning and she gets reborn or whatever, but Jean Grey gave up the Phoenix in the latest storyline and like, well, I have to give you up because you always are so destructive and you're volatile and blah, 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 but whatever. I don't really think that should have happened, but I would like to see a storyline where she's about life. But anyway, Dark Phoenix is awesome. She swallowed a sun, killed 6 billion people, and, killed herself and then came back anyway. So, I also, Phoenix restarted time. So the Scarlet Witch controlled time and like rewrote the timeline, but Phoenix restarted time, like with no one knowing that she did. So she saw how the world was going. It's like, no, I don't like this. Like, let's go back and let's have you make another decision, Cyclops, and let's do it that way. So I don't know any other character that like restarted time without everyone knowing. So those are my top 10. And that's a little bit more about me. So, okay, righty then. Let's get into why we are here. In Christian news this week, a woman named Janet Boyne stated that Christian women should stay away from feminism and the Me Too movement. Janet is also ex-gay, meaning that she's no longer considers herself a lesbian. She came out of the lifestyle. So that's what ex-gay means. You come out of the lifestyle, the gay lifestyle, you eschew or you put away all of your gay urges, and they're like, I'm no longer acting my gay urges. It's like, well, I don't act on all of my gay urges all the time either. Like, but you still gay. So they know that they're still gay, but they're not in the gay lifestyle, quote unquote lifestyle anymore. I don't really like, I want someone to explain what the lifestyle is. Like, if you're talking about sex, that's fornication. If you're talking about sex that can be classified as fornication, okay, we can talk about that. But like outside of that, what else is the gay lifestyle that would be quote unquote sinful? Like, please explain that to me. Like going to a bar and hanging out and drinking with your friends. Like, is that sinful? Dancing, is that sinful? Having a night where you hang out with your friends like as a gay group, like, is that sinful? I don't understand. Anyway, that's my opinion on being ex-gay. I don't like it. I went to ex-gay therapy when I came out because I didn't like that I was gay, but when I embraced who I am and didn't feel like I was living two lives and splitting myself in two mentally, I'm much happier. So I think a lot of people who are ex-gay feel that is what they need to do to please the Lord. And I think they're trying to please other Christians and religious dogma and please religion versus actually having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ to please him. Like, God may be calling you out of sleeping around so much, but as far as being gay, I don't know if he does that as often as y'all keep saying he does. So, anyway, she said she's against feminism because she thinks feminists hate men, but God divided men into women. Divided men into women. No, God divided men and women into gender roles that they have to perform for a functioning society, and men are the leaders and women are to submit to men. So submission to a man is for marriage. I believe that. In a marriage, women are to submit to men. That does not mean be subject to men. That does not mean that the man dominates and rules over it. I just really think that it means, like, if there's a disagreement, the woman might defer to the man to help him make the best decision for the family, that sort of thing. But normally you work together as a partnership to come up with decisions together, and do what works for you. Like, I don't like it just, it's anyway. But in society, I really don't think that fits because otherwise queens would never have been sovereign in their countries in history. It just would have been kings all the time. Queens would have never been sovereign. So she says that men have indeed perpetuated horrible things towards women, but that is a result of immorality in the world. And Satan is fueling people to divide themselves by placing men and women in society equally when women are not meant to be equal to men. Whew. Girl, no. Just stop. No, because in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were actually equal until the fall, and then God said, you will now submit to your husband, but they were actually equal. So in a marriage, I can understand a little bit better the submission part. And again, it's not about dominance over a woman or having her be subject to whatever the man says or waiting on him hand and foot. That's not at all what it's about. Because as Christ loves the church, that's how the man is supposed to treat his wife. So I'm subject to Christ. I'm submitting myself to him and his lordship in my life. But in general, I don't feel like I'm like, like he's dominating or domineering me, or like I have to wait on him hand and foot and appease him or anything. It's nothing like that. So, Jesus actually does elevate men and women equally because otherwise he wouldn't be calling women to preach and pastor. And anyway, I just think in society, it's another story. Like, what's wrong with gender equality in a society? Why is that a satanic idea that's meant to divide humanity? It's really not. What she's talking about is more patriarchal and like letting men do whatever they want to in society and women just go along with it. Women should not be educated. Women should not read. Women should not vote. Women should not have their own bank accounts. Women should not have their own property. Women should not be allowed to do their own thing. They should always get permission of a man. That's kind of what she's talking about. And feminism actually fights back against that to say, no, women deserve an equal role in society as gender. They should be paid equal to men. They should be valued as much as men are valued, which I actually support. And if you support that as well, guess what? You're a feminist. So I think it's actually a good thing to have healthy and mutual respect for another person's dignity and humanity and not reduce a woman to just being a breeding cow for a man who is just a sperm provider and a Neanderthal. So, Janet, no, I disagree with your assessment. And frankly, sister, I think you're doing things that sound biblical but are not biblical. And I think it's because you were introduced to feminism as a lesbian by some women who were lesbians and probably may have hated men. And I understand why they may feel that way, but I don't think that's the proper interpretation of feminism. And that's what you got, and that's what you're speaking out against. And I don't know who gives this woman a platform to speak, but I think the wrong people have platforms. Because she's this, Janet, what are you doing? Just sit back and just sit there. You should have sat there and ate your food. In political news this week, feckless kleptocrat Ivanka Trump was reported to have offered a connection to Donald Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen, with a Russian athlete who promised a meeting between Trump and Putin in 2015 when they were trying to build Trump Tower in Moscow. So this is a lot. Her husband, Jared Kushner, has been interviewed by Robert Mueller's team for the Russia conspiracy investigation, and Donald Trump probably should be interviewed as well. And 3 people connected to Trump so far have pled guilty to lying to federal government investigators about Russia. And there's only one guy left fighting for his innocence, but that guy just got busted this week trying to coach witnesses for his trial. And that man is Paul Manafort. And that's what I'm talking about with that. But up until now, Ivanka really was not connected to any of this Russia stuff. But this, oh, honey, this is bad. So are these people in the Trump campaign and the Trump administration? I just want to know, are they just evil? Or just incompetent? Or are they just used to living above the law in private life and not really adjusting well to living under the law while being public servants? I used to think they were just evil, but maybe it's just plain incompetent. Anyway, Ivanka might be going down to, fingers crossed, or she might be the thing that makes Trump slip up and fire Mueller and then get himself set up for overplaying his hand because Ivanka's his favorite child. So if you touch Ivanka, he may be like, oh no, that's the daughter that I said I would be banging if she wasn't my daughter, which is like totally a thing that fathers should say about their daughters. Ugh. Anyway, Trump's already kind of overplaying his hand a little bit by setting up the United States economy to be wrecked with these tariffs on exports because nations that provide us their goods are raising tariffs on those goods. So we're going to be paying a lot more for food and whatever goes into raw materials for things that we use, such as our phones or computers, and also gas. So Donald Trump promised to get the economy back on track and is failing. Wages are staying relatively the same. And unless you're an executive, that's true. And prices are now being inflated due to one of this man's dumbest ideas and also due to this man's fragile ego, as he displays no understanding of tariffs in domestic and international economics. Anyway, he's also making utility companies use coal power and nuclear power and stop using wind and solar. I really thought that we liked clean air as a nation. Donald Trump must like the thought of us breathing burnt ash. Like, why would you try to say everyone needs to go back to using coal power when nobody's using coal anymore? Like, the industry's dead. People have moved on. You're forcing people to use coal and lying about it, saying it's a national security threat, when actually climate change is a national security threat. And we're using things that, damage the environment even more, such as coal power and nuclear, if it ever, if it does what Fukushima did and 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl. Like, we have literal comic book villains running our government. Literal comic book villains are running the government. And it just angers me every day. Like, twice a week, I just scream internally that this is actually happening and that you all voted for this to happen. So back to Ivanka. Samantha Bee called Ivanka Trump a feckless C. And somehow that was the worst thing to call Ivanka, which I guess, girl, maybe. Donald Trump has called people a lot worse. Nobody's calling on him to apologize, especially not his press secretary, that lying Aunt Lydia. But Donald Trump supporters bought shirts at Trump rallies that called Hillary the same word. But now it's a problem because Ivanka got called it, but it's okay for Hillary? It sounds like Samantha Bee should have called more people that word. Maybe that was the issue. It was too narrowly focused. So go broader next time, Samantha, maybe, because I don't like the hypocrisy of a group saying that it's offensive, but they have a t-shirt calling Hillary that at home, that they will gladly pull out again at all Trump rallies, because out of all the people who can't let Hillary go, it's conservative white women who wish they had her impact, influence, following, intelligence, and skills, and a whole bunch of sexist men in the Republican and Democratic parties and the media who probably wish she looked more like a strumpet and was dumb as the idea that Stacey Dash could actually win a seat in Congress. In gay news this week, CrossFit infiltrated in Indianapolis, Indiana, was going to host a pride workout for Gay Pride. The director of that CrossFit location, he shut it down and said that the event does not value health and wellness. And a lot of people pulled out of that CrossFit location and it made national news. Now, the communications director of CrossFit Corporate tweeted that he believes that pride is a sin. I've seen a lot of Christians post online this year that celebrating gay pride is a sin because pride is a sin and you should be humble because humility is closer to godliness than pride, which, yeah, whatever, girl. Look, I can get with that as a theory on general pride versus humility. I really can. However, that's not why the word pride was chosen for gay pride. Taking pride in yourself and owning who you are isn't a bad thing, and you're not believing a lie about yourself, which is basically what the CrossFit director in Indianapolis said. Like my mom used to say to me all the time, take pride in your appearance. So, bathe, soap, water, lotion, don't look ashy. Put stuff in your hair to style it and make it look nice. Groom yourself. Get your hair cut and trimmed and comb your hair, brush your hair, brush your teeth. Grooming. Take pride in your appearance. Take pride in how you look. Take care of your face, your facial skin. Take care of your beard. Take all that stuff. Like take pride in your appearance. Make sure that you're dressing well. Make sure that you're representing the house and representing the family and representing yourself well when you go out in public. Like, take pride in how you look. That's sinful. So, similar to gay pride, it's taking pride in who you are, owning who you are. There's nothing wrong with that. And so, look, straight Christians can be very hateful, but think they're operating in love. And that is the truth. The closet is so restrictive. And when people come out of the closet, it should be celebrated. Like the closet has led to a lot of teenagers and adults to commit suicide because they were living a lie and couldn't find support or take it anymore. May they rest in peace. However, telling gay people that pride is something that doesn't promote overall health, that is a dog whistle for gay people and AIDS, and I'm tired of y'all Christians pretending that it's something else. It's bad enough that the Supreme Court ruled this week that the Colorado Commission was wrong for rightfully saying that Christianity has been used as a weapon against marginalized groups throughout history, and gave a victory to a homophobic baker who didn't want to make a cake for a gay wedding. But these people will go ahead and make cakes for divorce parties and baby showers with a single parent. But gay people are just too far over the morality line. Oh, girl, please, no. And now gay people can't even work out at the most annoying gym on earth. Like, seriously, CrossFitters are the most annoying people when it comes to exercise. They evangelize about exercise more than new Christians about Jesus and new Mary Kay consultants about their new job. So now these people can't even work out at those gyms without being judged. And now you're trying to pass it off as normal. You're trying to pass off your homophobia as a concern over the sin of pride, which is not at all what gay pride is about. CrossFit's corporate communications director got fired yesterday because of his tweets. And I will say that straight homophobes who hide behind the cross of Jesus and lob harmful and hurtful things at LGBTQ people never cease to amaze me with what they can twist around to make those hurtful things sound innocent as they continue to dehumanize and offend people who do not have a natural dominant sexual orientation with the opposite sex. And then they will turn around and say they want people to accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior based on the representation you're giving, baby. Jesus. Look, based on the representation you're giving, don't nobody want that Jesus. Okay, like it's upsetting me and my homegirls that I have to consider you as a fellow brother in Christ. But the main takeaway for you shameful, embarrassing people is that pride isn't about having a haughty spirit. It's about embracing who you are without the shame that you try to apply to us. Honestly, bigots are becoming far too comfortable with their bigotry since Trump got elected. But like I always say, don't let your president get you got out here. Folks will fight back in this day and age, and we're not taking it lying down. You'll get your face messed up. And then some of y'all might get murked. I'm just saying. Be careful out here. Ain't nobody got time for that. So this next segment is going to change the name from Trash of the Week and Treasure of the Week to Bum of the Week and Boo of the Week. I forgot that I called it that. So we're going to change it back to Bum of the Week and Boo of the Week. And as always, the Bum of the Week every week is Donald Trump. But in addition to him is this week's Bum of the Week, who is Roseanne Barr. Roseanne called the former White House senior advisor to President Obama an ape. She called Valerie Jarrett an ape. Then Roseanne said that she didn't know Valerie was black because Roseanne thought Valerie was Saudi. Whatever, Roseanne. Roseanne herself said she isn't racist, but just made an insensitive joke and that she wants to stick around to help America be better. But she's a part of the problem and can't see how her comment calling a black woman an ape and the racial history behind the charged term is a problem. So how exactly can Roseanne help? I really want to know. Like, she can right now help best by listening to people telling her how wrong she is, how she is a racist and did a racist thing, and listen to people on how it hurts them and how she's hurting other people. And know that this is not about political ideology. She said it was connected to it. Like, girl, no. And understand that she lost her show because of racism, even if she thinks she didn't do anything racist. It's beyond insensitive. It's heinous. And she did that. It sucks, Roseanne, but it's all on her, you. Like, it's all on her. So I just want to say to also everyone else defending her from the right wing, acting like they aren't aware of black people being compared to apes and monkeys as racist. Also to liberal entertainers trying to excuse Roseanne's behavior due to her self-admitted multiple personality disorder. You're bums too. You're also bums. Like, there are plenty of people who have mental illness who are not racist. So stop trying to excuse racism as a mental illness to try to help yourselves feel better about your colleague who did something terrible. My boo of the week this week are three people. So it's my boos of the week. They are Ryan Murphy, Brad Falchuk, and Stephen Canals, who created the FX series Pose. I encourage anyone who appreciates LGBT people to watch Pose. The show's pilot was perfect. It examines the ballroom scene and life outside of the ballroom scene in New York in the early 1980s. And if you saw the documentary Paris is Burning about life of trans women and drag queens in the ballroom scene in New York in the 80s. This is like a fictionalized version of that, but it includes the outside world. So the first episode was so sweet. It was very, very sweet. And it touched on all the things that happened to gays and trans women in the ballroom scene in the 80s. And so far, it's good. So I hope they keep it up for the season. Good job, guys. And thank you so much for creating the show. Well, that's all for this week. But before I go, I thought of another top 10 list that I want to do because I might not do it next time, just being honest. But this week I ran across one of my favorite gospel songs, and it's called When I See Jesus. However, I can't find the arrangement I heard in college from a Connecticut-based youth mass choir. So if anyone can help me out listening, it was a Connecticut-based youth mass choir. My friend had a tape of them singing. It had a soprano soloist, and they slowed down the song and rearranged it and changed the ending to the sweet sounding face to face. That was the ending of it, face to face. And she did a soloist, and she was a soprano, and she was like, when I see Jesus, amen. When I see Jesus. That I can't really do it. Anyway, so if anyone can help me out, I would greatly appreciate it. Or if you have like the digital copies to send me, I would love it. Anyway, I don't know what made me think of Black Church Sings when I heard the song, but it did. Sometimes my mind works like that. And because of thinking about those things, I now present to you the top 10 reasons the Black church says you're going to hell. And let me just say to my non-theist listeners, this is not ammo for you to use to attack or mock religion, okay? Thank you. It's just jokes. Number 10, women, you wore pants in the sanctuary. You didn't wear a dress, you wore pants. You're going to hell. Number 9, you wore red to church and are therefore a Jezebel. You don't wear red to the Black church. You wear red, you're a Jezebel. You sleeping with the pastor, and he ain't your husband. Number 8, you wore, women, you wear an anklet. Therefore, you must be a prostitute. Because only prostitutes wear anklets. Number 7, you have tattoos. Old Testament says you're not supposed to cut up on your body and get tattoos like the pagan nations. Going to hell. Number 6, you cuss. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth. You up here cussing. You're going straight to hell. Number 5, you smoke. I don't know what scripture they use for that because I couldn't find one except like your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost and you know what smoking leads to or potentially. And so I guess that's it. But you smoke, you're going to hell. Also, if you drink, you're going to hell. You know, the Bible says don't be drunk, but didn't say anything about drinking. But, you know, why drink at all? Just why open the door to being drunk? You're going to hell. Number 4, women. And I guess men too, some men, you wear makeup. You're not supposed to paint up your face like them women in pagan nations. You're going to hell. Number 3, you wear jewelry. Not jewelry, but jewelry. Not supposed to adorn yourself to look flashy. Just look humble. Look modest. You're going to hell. Number 2, if you listen to worldly music and watch worldly shows, you're going to hell. You listen to worldly music. You listen to that secular music. All that R&B. Talking about humping and bumping and grinding. You're going to hell. And you watch them worldly shows like Scandal. She's sleeping with 2 men. And How to Get Away with Murder. Teaching kids how to get away with murder. And they all sleeping with each other. And even that gay one. Going to hell. And also, just so you know, BB and CC Winans are not Christian because they have a lot of secular beats in their music. And, you know, they inspire you to be hucking and bucking and jumping and jiving and grinding and all that stuff. They up here talking about they making Christian music up there sound like the world. So it's supposed to be in the world, not of the world. They ain't Christian. That's kind of what I liked BB and CC Winans growing up, and that's what I heard in my house about BB and CC Winans, that they weren't really Christian. All that hucking and bucking that make you doing that music. Finally, number 1, you read anything other... Number 1, you read any other version of the Bible that is not the King James Version. You're going straight to hell. King James interpreted the Bible from the Hebrew and Greek, and that's the only version we should be reading in our language. Because it was a straight translation. He didn't change any of the idioms. He didn't change any of the commas or anything. Oh, Lord. You go straight to hell. You reading that NIV. You reading that Revised Standard Version. You reading that Amplified Bible. You reading the Living Bible. You definitely going to hell. You reading the Message. Going straight to hell. Read that King James Version. Get your life right. So those are the top 10 reasons that the Black Church says you're going to hell. If you have any other reasons, feel free to email them to me. But again, this has been Jamin with King. I'm sorry, I'm having flashbacks and all the just ridiculousness stuff. Okay. Once again, this is Jamin with Keen Point of View, the best intersection of gay issues, politics, and Christianity ever. Thank you so much for joining me this week for another podcast. Please, if you like this podcast, feel free to share it with everyone you know, and you will be blessed. I pray. But please feel free to share it with everyone you know who will enjoy it. And also, you yourself, subscribe to it, please. Also, feel free to contact me at keenpointofview@gmail.com. That's KEENE, pointofview@gmail.com. Also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at KeenPOV, KEENEPOV. I have a new Twitter account at KeenPOV, so go ahead and follow me there, as well as Instagram, and also the Facebook fan page, facebook.com/KeenPOV. And the blog itself is keenpointofview.com. I want to do some reader mail eventually, so feel free to write and ask questions and let me know if I can answer any question on the podcast for you. Music this week has been provided by @_AceDizzyFlow as well as Google. Thank you again for joining me this week. Talk to you next time. Take care.